Okay, so today for pre-algebra, we will be solving one-step equations using multiplication and division. So earlier this week, we solved one-step equations using addition and subtraction. So we'll be doing the same thing today, except for we'll be using multiplication and division instead. So this is a little bit of a review from what we did earlier this week. We know an equation is a mathematical sentence that uses an equal sign to show that two expressions have the same value. For example, 10 divided by negative 2 is equal to or the same as 5. They are both the same. So inverse operations or opposites. Multiplication and division are inverse operations, which means they will undo each other. So to solve an equation, we will use the inverse operation or the opposite operation to get the variable alone on one side of the equal sign. So basically, the opposite of multiplication is division, and the opposite of division is multiplication. So if we see a problem that has multiplication in it, we will probably divide to get that variable by itself. And that'll make some more sense as we try these first couple of practice problems. So our first problem here, we are going to be solving for m. And we need to remember we are trying to get m alone on one side of the equal sign. So I like to draw a line down my equal sign because that will separate the left half of my problem and the right half. So I see we have 8 times m is equal to 32. So I'm going to think to myself, what is the opposite of 8 times m? So I know we're multiplying. So the opposite of multiplying will be dividing. So if we multiplied by 8, we are going to need to divide by 8. And 8 divided by 8, that cancels it out. So now we are left with m equals 32 divided by 8. I'm actually going to rewrite that so it makes a little bit more sense. 32 divided by 8. So we divided both sides of the equation by 8 to get m alone. And now we need to solve 32 divided by 8. So how many times does 8 go into 32? 8, 16, 24, 32. Goes into it 4 times. So m would equal 4. We can always check our answer by plugging in 4 for m. So we can try that. I'll change the color here. 8, got that there, times 4, because m is equal to 4, equals 32. 8 times 4 is 32. So they are both the same on each side of the equal sign, so we know that m equals 4 is correct. So what I did here in the green was just checked my answer by plugging in 4 for m. Moving on to our next problem here, we are going to be solving for m again. So remember, we are trying to get m alone on the left side of the equal sign. So I see negative 2 times m equals negative 10. So we're multiplying negative 2 by m. So what is the opposite of multiplying by negative 2? The opposite of multiplying by negative 2 will be dividing by negative 2. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2, that cancels each other out. So now we have m alone on the left side of our equal sign. So all we need to do now is just divide negative 10 divided by negative 2. Negative 10 divided by negative 2 is 5. Because we know 2 negatives makes a positive. So m would equal 5. So what we did there was we divided both sides by negative 2 to get m alone. And then we solved. and got m equals 5. So we're using our inverse operations or our opposite operations to get the variable alone. And in these problems, our variable is m. Let's try another one together. 10m equals 100, or 10 times m equals 100. So we are trying to get m alone. How am I going to get m alone? What am I going to do to this 10? So right now it's 10 multiplied by m. So what is the opposite of 10 times m? The opposite will be divided by 10. So we are going to divide both sides of the equation by 10. Ten divided by 10, those cancel each other out. Now we have m alone on the left side. And we need to solve 100 divided by 10. 100 divided by 10 equals 10. So m would equal 10. And if we want to, we can check our answer by plugging in 10 for m. So 10 times 10 equals 100. So we know that m equals 10 is correct. So now we have division. So h divided by -3 equals 6. So we know it's h divided by -3. What is the opposite of dividing by -3? The opposite of dividing by -3 will be multiplying both sides by -3. So we're multiplying both sides by -3. These two -3's cancel each other out. So now we have h alone on the left side of our equation. And I actually got to make this a little bit better for us. We're timesing that side by -3 too. So times by -3. And 6 times -3 equals -18. So h would equal -18. I think we have one more to try together here. Erase our board. So m divided by 24 equals 6. So we know it's dividing by 24 on the left side. So what is the opposite of dividing by 24? Opposite will be multiplying each side by 24. So we're going to multiply each side by 24. Oofta, that was a terrible 4. So we're multiplying each side by 24. 24, those cancel each other out. So now we have m by itself. 6 times 24 equals 144. And our last problem for the day, h divided by -3 equals 21. So we know it's dividing by -3 on the left side of our equation. So what is the opposite of dividing by -3? The opposite will be timesing by -3. So we're going to multiply -3 on each side of the equation. Those cancel each other out. Now we have h by itself. 21 times -3 equals -63. So h would equal -63. So basically what you are doing for these problems is you are doing the opposite type. So if you're dividing, you're going to multiply, and that will get the variable alone. So you're using those inverse operations or opposite operations. If you guys have any questions on how to do these one-step equations, please send me an email and we can set up a Google Meet and I can better explain it. Because I really want you guys to understand this well, because we'll be having a quiz next week on one-step equations. So please send me an email if you are having any troubles.